Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So like when students switch sides in confusion, and this is where a good class happens. So basically why you are confused is because you are trying to understand. So you all were very fine in the beginning. When I said respiration, Shakrullah was like inhale and exhale. Yes, I know it. And then like, what? No, this is wrong. Yeah, I don't know it. Then I asked what is breathing. For all of you, it was voluntary because we can control our breath, right? You can hold a, just try it, hold your breath. Just for few seconds. Don't hold it till, So once I asked one of my students to do this and he holded the breath, and I'm continuing telling him things and asking him questions. And then he's like, sir, when do I have to stop holding? I'm like, you should have stopped holding when you felt like, okay. So you can hold your breath, right? But can you hold your breath forever?
No.
We will die.
Now, one more question. Do you think any organism can die holding the breath?
Yes.
Riba.
How, sir? How? Can you
Yes,
repeat
yes,
the question?
yes,
I didn't
sir.
understand.
Question is, can an organism decides to commit suicide by holding the breath?
No.
No, sir.
No, it can never happen. It can never happen because what will happen is if you hold your breath more than you can, you should, then from conscious, you go into a subconscious mind and then an unconscious state. If someone just holds your breath against your will, you don't die. It's not like what it's shown in the movies and televisions. They put a pillow on someone's mouth and the person will start, strangling and die. It does not happen like that. The person will become still and go unconscious. You understand?
Yes,
And you
sir.
and someone might think, oh, the person is finished, remove the pillow and go home. And after some time, the person will again come back. He has not come back, he or she has not come back from the dead. He or she was just unconscious. So there are three states of consciousness: conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. Conscious is right now. In the class, we are consciously trying to understand what is breathing and respiration. Subconscious is when you are sleeping.
Yes.
It is a state between unconscious and conscious. Okay. And unconscious is when you don't know what is happening. Your brain is not in control of your body. But let me tell you, in all three situations, you are breathing. Right?
Yes.
You are breathing in conscious state, you are breathing in subconscious state, you are also breathing in unconscious state. Which means breathing is both a voluntary and an involuntary mechanism. Both. It comes in both voluntary and involuntary. Just write it down. And I'll tell you how and why. Why they are both voluntary and involuntary. Because when we are conscious, brain regulates it. Okay. The conscious part of the brain, like we can control it, and brain keeps on regulating it, both voluntary and involuntary. When we are subconscious, still there is one part of brain. When we sleep, our brain activity does not go zero. Our brain still is functioning. Do you know that?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
It works, yeah.
So it's still working, and that working part of the brain is only working for those processes which are involuntary. So whenever we become from conscious to subconscious, lot of our voluntary activities switches to being involuntary. Do you understand? One such example is there are certain things in our body, gateways in our body, which are called sphincters. I'm just writing it somewhere in the corner because it's not a part. I'm just bringing it up for the sake of discussion. Sphincter. Sphincter is something, most of the sphincters are involuntary. Do you know? These are like gateways which block the channels in our body or the openings in our body. For example, there is a sphincter in our stomach. When we eat food, that sphincter opens and food enters the stomach. And when we stop eating, that sphincter closes. You know why it happens? That sphincter closes? So that if after eating food, if someone puts you and hangs you by the ceiling upside down, all the food should not come out. Have you thought about it ever? Everyone? If we are hanging upside down from a ceiling, does all the food come out of our body? No. Why? Because there's a sphincter controlling it. Similarly, there are a lot of sphincters, but there is one sphincter specifically that is known as the urinary bladder sphincter. You know, the urge to urinate is in our control, right? But till a certain level. Like if you feels like, you know, I need to go to washroom, you can control it for 10, 15, 20, half an hour, 1 hour. And with
Yes.
practice, it increases. Like if you have practiced more and more to control your urination, you can control it even for hours. But after some point, you cannot control it. And that sphincter, which was voluntary, it goes involuntary. And if you try to control urination beyond a limit, it will just without your will, just leak out. You know that?
Yes,
So that is one another example. So breathing is exactly the same. It's both voluntary and involuntary. Okay, so it comes in entrances, remember it, but it's a physical phenomenon. Now coming to, and where is breathing happening? Let's just complete breathing first. Where is breathing happening? Is there any particular special area in our body where breathing happens?
At lungs.
Yes, nose, the windpipe, and the lungs.
Yes.
These three organs are related in
part of the
breathing.
lungs.
So the major site is lungs. So right, the site of breathing is lungs. S-I-T-E. The site of breathing is lungs in our body. Now let's come to respiration. Respiration is not a physical phenomena. It's a physiological process. It's a physiological process. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
yes, sir.
Okay. So till here, breathing and respiration. So respiration is a physiological process. Is respiration voluntary or involuntary?
Involuntary.
Now I would like to go back to Abhinav. So Abhinav started a very good description of respiration. So Abhinav, do you think respiration is voluntary or involuntary?
The respiration is involuntary.
Respiration is always involuntary. We can never know when respiration is happening and we can never control respiration. So it is involuntary always. Write it down. Involuntary. Okay. And what is the site of respiration? Where is respiration happening?
In the cells.
Yes. Which cells? All living
the cells,
cells.
respiration takes place.
Yes. All living cells do respiration. Okay. All living cells do respiration. Is it fine? So now do you understand that respiration is the process which is happening inside the cell? And in this process, what happens? So write down, in breathing, what happens is there are two things happening. We inhale and we exhale.
Exhale.
That's all. That's all is what breathing is. But what is respiration? Write down, it's breaking down of glucose.
Breaking down of glucose.
Yes. In each and every cell, breaking down of glucose to produce energy. You know, glucose is the important molecule which we need to produce energy in the body, to produce energy. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So from now onwards, whenever someone asks you about breathing and respiration, you're not going to get confused. Okay. From now onwards, you're going to think like a biology student and you know what is breathing and what is respiration. Okay. Now, tell me,
Yes.
is breathing, is respiration a life process?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes.
Breathing is not a part of your chapter 1, and breathing is just a life process and not a fundamental defining property of life.
Yes.
Yes.
Because only higher organisms who have lungs do it. But respiration is a life process as well as it is also a defining property of life, because if you stop respiring, you will stop making energy, you will stop breaking down glucose and you will die, right? So respiration is a defining property of life, defining feature.
Sir,
Whereas-
breathing is a life process, yeah?
Yes, see, life process is any process which living systems do.
Yes,
Like
yes, I
we
understand this.
breathe.
And
So it is a
respiration
life
also-
process.
respiration also is a life process. I understand this.
Yes. So
But
life process is something that living systems do. So living systems also breathe, living systems also respire. Okay. But all living systems do not breathe. And if you stop breathing, you will not die. Like
so, but defining feature in breathing is it is not
breathing is
represented,
not
yeah?
breathing is not a defining feature,
Yes,
because
yes.
bacteria never breathe.
Yes, yes, okay. I
It's not
understand.
a defining feature. Okay. So now here, just revise whatever I have done till now. And here I would ask, so there are two students, Shakir and who's the other one? Faiza. This was your first class, right? Shakir and Faiza?
Yes,
Yes.
sir. What?
So we have decided for you. So your second class will happen with a separate batch, which is your batch. So for the first class today, you have been clubbed with this batch. So I will teach you till here only in the first class. So you, Shakir and Faiza, take all the notes, and you can log out from the class right now. And from your second class, we'll continue from here. Okay. Others, just stay in the class.
Okay, you will give to the others from the beginning.
No, say for others, they are already here, so I have to take them from here. So for you and Faiza, there's a second batch which we are making in progress. It's in progress, and you will put in that batch. Okay.
So me,
this-
I am
yes.
you're saying to log out because I'm a new member, yeah?
Yes, right.
Okay.
So that you don't. So you and Faiza can leave the class now. Okay.
So tomorrow
You'll
we
be
can.
sent. Yes, tomorrow
Okay.
you will send another link. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice night.
Okay. Thanks, Shakirullah. Take care. Okay, so now we have Kezia, Nida, Reba, Abhinav, and Aisha and Mariam, right?
Yes.
Everyone can see,
Yes,
everyone
sir.
hear me? So this
Yes,
is the
sir.
batch you are going to stick with, okay? And some of it I have already taught you, and some of it was new, right? So it's kind of a revision and something you learned. Now from here, because this was the life process part, and Omer is also there. Omer, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes,
so
sir.
there's one general announcement, and it's also for my sake of simplicity and my sake of convenience, that there is something called focus mode, which is applicable to all our classes. So all of you who can keep your videos on, please keep your videos on, because that helps me to see you and interact with you. Only I can see your video and only you can see my video. Okay. So there's no problem of privacy as such. So please keep your videos open if you can, and keep your microphones open all the time for discussion. Otherwise, sometimes it becomes difficult to understand who's speaking, and everyone has to speak, okay, in the classes, as you must have understood. Very good. So we have Kezia and Abhinav. Can I? Yes. So till here, everything is fine.
Yes, sir.
I'm just giving 1 minute to all of you to just revise whatever you have noted down till now. I'll go from the top. I'll just scroll from the top. So this is the basics that I have already covered with some of you, right?
Yes.
So because a new batch, a set of batch is into making, so it happens that sometimes we have to put 1 or 2 students for the priming with some batch, but ultimately we cannot make a batch more than 8 students. Ideally, it should be 6 to 7, but maximum it's 8, as we said, because it's otherwise difficult to fulfill what we need to fulfill at Learnivio. So we started with growth, reproduction, metabolism. We have done it, right? Anyone has any doubt regarding any of this?
No, sir.
No?
No, sir.
Good. Okay. Breathing, respiration is done. So respiration is the life process. I've also discussed with you guys consciousness, right?
Yes, sir.
Anyone was not in the class when I was discussing consciousness? Say yes. Say I was not in the class, and I'll just.
Sir, I was not there.
Who? Omar.
Yes, sir. Me.
Okay, Omar, you were not there. So I'll just go to the. I'll go briefly to consciousness here, and then we'll move. So consciousness is something. What do you mean by consciousness? Omar, because others might be knowing it, so I'm asking you so that you learn. You missed it. So what is consciousness? What do you think is consciousness? Yes, what do you think is consciousness? You don't think anything about consciousness?
Yes, no. No, sir, I think.
Yeah, you must be thinking. So what is consciousness? Tell me. So consciousness is, write down, it's the ability to be aware of the surrounding, of the environment, right? If an organism is conscious, the organism is conscious about the surrounding. That am I in some kind of danger? Am I in some kind of a threat? Am I in a peaceful environment so that I can sleep? So have you seen some organisms in wild always have to be conscious, right?
Alert.
Alertness. Exactly.
Yes.
It's called alertness.
Yes.
So alertness is consciousness. And alertness towards the environment is consciousness. In higher organisms like humans and some high order primates, there is something known as self-consciousness, you know. And I was giving this example to others before, that self-consciousness means that you are conscious about your own self. You can identify your own self. So, and a good example is that if you have a cat or a dog, a pet cat or a pet dog, or any organism which is not very evolved and high organisms, if you put a cat in front of a mirror, how does the cat behave? Omar. Yes, anyone else can. Yes, answer, please.
Like they behave strange.
Yes,
They will stare, or sometimes if they will be like, if they are having mood swings and all, and if they are angry, they will scratch and do those all stuff.
Exactly.
Actually,
It's
I have
not-
the experience
Sir,
of
sometimes they ignore themselves.
They do not realize it's them.
Yes, it's very rare that they ignore. If they are ignoring, then your cat or dog is like just attained nirvana, and someone that's like, I don't care about the world. You know,
Yes, sir.
I don't give a shit about the world. Okay, but
Yes,
it's not
sir.
like that. Mostly when you will put a cat or a dog in front of a mirror, they will think that, oh, this is some another cat or some another dog in my territory.
Yes.
What is he or she doing in my house? And they start scratching, as you were mentioning. They start scratching because they start feeling that, oh, there is someone else,
Yes,
an
sir.
intruder. Okay.
Oh,
So if there is a noise in the background for anyone, please keep your microphone off for that moment, okay, when there is noise, and then turn it on when you're speaking. Otherwise we will lose the conversations. So they behave like as if they cannot identify, oh, it's me. But if you put a chimpanzee in front of a mirror or a human in front of a mirror, they realize, they recognize themselves. So high order primates, even elephants have this capability, and sometimes even trained dolphins. You have seen dolphins doing all strange kind of intelligent activities in water circuses.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
It's because they are intelligent creatures. They can actually, you know, feel that how you are treating them. So if you go and kiss a dolphin on that hump, it may come back and kiss you, you know, because they know, oh, this is the way, you know, I should be treating. So they identify themselves in the mirror, you know, all the higher organisms. So that is called self-consciousness. So is consciousness is a life process? Is it important for life to survive?
No, sir.
No.
Yes, sir. It's important. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, it is. Of course, it is important. If you are not conscious and you are sleeping in a jungle, you know, a tiger will come and sleep next to you. You are not conscious about the environment. You're like, oh, let's play PUBG. You know, let me be in my own zone. I don't care. The tiger is not going to say, I don't care as well. Okay, let me also play PUBG with you. Tiger will just eat you. So a deer has to be alert all the time. Have you seen deers, even when they are grazing the grasses, you know, their ears are kind of, they keep moving. Have you seen Discovery? And if you've seen Discovery,
Yes.
deers, yes, Yes, please.
Like in goats and deer, like in some animals, they are having those six senses types of things.
It's not the sixth sense, it's called alertness only. Okay, and that alertness has imbibed in their character through evolution. It's important because deers and goats, when they used to live in wild, they are living amidst the predators. They always have to keep their ears straight. So there is also an idiom in English, keep your ears straight,
Yes, sir.
so that be aware what is happening. Because they have, if they do not do that, they may die. So the life will not. And not only for deers, let me tell you, it's for bacteria as well. I was discussing this in the last class, that even bacteria is aware about the surroundings. When you put antibiotics in the surroundings to kill bacteria, first bacteria dies because they don't know what to do, but they can feel, oh, I am dying. They must be feeling that. I don't claim to say that they can feel and they have talked to me about it and I felt bad about it. No, nothing like that. But general biological logic is they know what is happening, because we have seen nowadays that bacteria have developed resistance against antibiotics, right?
Yes.
Have you
Yes,
seen
sir.
bacteria not getting killed now? We have Nida and Rehab also. Rehab, tell me something about this. Or Nida, have you seen bacteria that do not get killed even after giving antibiotics?
Yes, resistant
Yes.
Yes, they are called
bacteria.
drug resistant.
Resistant bacteria.
Yes, they are called drug resistant bacteria. And how do you think bacteria develop that resistance? It's not a miraculous power that came to bacteria because bacteria was, feeling bad and it started praying to God and asked for those powers. It happened because bacteria started understanding over time that why my generations, my parents and all around me are getting killed. So some bacteria will get killed, but it will lead other bacteria to learn that they are getting killed because of this. And they will try to evolve a mechanism so that they can get rid of it. For example, when we feel cold, what we do?
We shiver.
We shiver, or
We
we
shiver.
will.
Yes. Someone said we wear a sweater, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Okay, so in my classes, you don't have to think like a human all the time. So you are still good, but when I asked in another class, like, what do we do when we feel cold? We turn on the heater, sir. They're like, great, you are going good. No, biologically, what we do? We shiver.
Shiver.
Why do we shiver?
Because shivering will cause friction, and friction causes heat in the body.
Exactly. So shivering, creates a kind of warmth in all our tissues, and shivering keeps and in order to survive, you will feel that all our shivering is happening mainly in the body, and that's why our limbs are shivering. But we need to keep our torso warm, so we shiver. But how does our body know that we have to shiver? Because it's conscious about the environment, right? It knows that the temperature is dropping, so there is something inside our body which can sense temperature. And if I ask you what do we have which can sense temperature, don't say thermometer. I will come there and kill you, whoever says thermometer. How do we know that it's cold or warm?
There was a part in the brain, in the ear.
Yes, so in the ear there's it's not in the ear. In ear it's the information which gets related to the brain. You're right. In the brain there is a part which is called
Pons.
Okay, so we'll come to brain, we'll come to nervous system. Let's keep it for that. But you're right that in our brain there is an inwired center that actually is taking care of our temperature. Just let me tell you, it's on the contrary, just deviating from the topic. How many of you have got fever in your life?
I got, sir, many
Everyone.
times.
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone.
There will not be any single human who have not got fever. Living in anywhere, like even in Africa or in Antarctica or Iceland or Greenland, wherever you live, you must have got fever in your life, because fever is a response of our body which comes from brain. Brain decides to raise the body temperature. Sometimes it does so, as a result of constant cold. So we are suffering from cold, so we get fever, so that our body feels warm and do not die. But that's the problem. sometimes bacteria invades our body or any pathogen invades our body. And what our brain thinks is, how should I kill this bacteria? So have you heard that efficient way to killing the bacteria is boiling the water? If they're in water, boil the water or raise the temperature. So when you raise the temperature, certain pathogens are killed. That's why we boil water before we drink, right?
Yes.
Similarly, our body tries to do that. It raises the temperature of the body so that pathogens become inactive and our immune system can find them and kill them. But if the infection is very severe, then our brain cannot lower down the temperature. Till the infection persists, our temperature will keep on rising, because brain can only say two things: rise the temperature or lower the temperature. Under infectious conditions, it cannot set the temperature to one point. It only happens when we have no infection, and at normal physiological conditions, what is the body temperature of humans?
98.3 degrees Fahrenheit.
98.6 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 degrees 37.1 degrees Celsius. Okay. So that is the normal temperature. It has a range. It's not like absolute. If you are 98.4 or 98 also, it's fine. It's not like you are hypothermic or hyperthermic. There always has to be a range to every biological phenomenon, parameter in the body. But I'm just trying to tell you that our brain also can sense the environment and can behave accordingly. Similarly, bacteria also senses that we have antibiotics, and these are the bloody molecules because of which we are getting killed. So let me develop something to throw them out. So the next time how bacteria become resistant, one of the ways is you send antibiotics in their body. They have created a flux channel to throw it out again. So you send antibiotics in, they send antibiotics out. It's like someone is trying to feed you with something which is poisonous, and you spit it out. You know, why do you spit it out? Because to spit something out, you have to be conscious that it is harmful, right?
Yes.
If like how they show in movies, if someone just mixes something in your food and give it to you, you will not know that it's harmful. So you will just eat it. But if you are spitting, means you know that there is something harmful. So that is called consciousness. So consciousness, of course, is a life process. But is it a defining property of life? Is it a defining feature? Think about it. Is it a defining feature?
Yes, it is.
And why do you think so?
Why? Because unconscious, like if we are in our own conscious, it's showing, right, that we are alive, we are not dead.
So I just told you that, if you are sleeping, if you are not unconscious, which means, are you dead?
No,
No. So
it's not.
I think it's not.
It's very good to see students changing sides amidst confusion again, but it means that you are learning. Now think again. Some of you, including Abhinav, just change the side that it's not. I also told you, when we are subconscious or when we are unconscious, our brain activity does not go zero.
Yes.
One part of our brain is always active till you are not dead. Now, would you again like to change sides, Abhinav?
So it means it's correct.
Yes, it means it's correct. You're right, and you win. Claps. So it's a defining feature, because the moment you stop being conscious completely, you will not survive. A bacteria never goes into a subconscious or unconscious state, ideally, because it has no brain, it has no organ level. But bacteria also go in a state which is called cyst, the cyst stage of bacteria. It's like humans going into unconscious state. They go into cyst. They make a wall around themselves and sleep and go for, just like animals hibernate. Have you seen bears not seen, but you must have read bears hibernating.
Yes.
Right? So hibernation, there are two terms. Again, from ecological point of view, write it. It is important for your entrance. One is hibernation. And all the science is related. See, you have to just be, enthusiastic about it. What is hibernation?
Sleeping for a long time. Being unconscious.
No, they are not unconscious. They are sleeping. there are two terms, which one is called hibernation and one is called estivation. Write down that hibernation is winter sleep. Organisms who sleep during the winters, who spend their entire winter sleeping, are called hibernative, or organisms that can hibernate. Abhinav is probably thinking, oh, such lucky organisms get to sleep all the winters. Nice.
Crocodiles are also there, for example, of hibernation.
Exactly. So are you jealous of crocodiles?
Yeah,
Like,
sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes.
I
don't like
I have to wake up 7 in the morning, whether it's winter or summers, to go to school. A lot of students were actually thanking Corona.
Yes, sir. It's true.
But then they realized, oh, this is not something to thank. Till the time everyone was thinking, oh, array, it's just like a fluke. It's just like viral flu. But then second wave came and Corona said, what? Are you insulting me by saying I'm a viral flu? But it's really pathetic. Like, the condition was very bad during the second wave. But coming back to hibernation, there are certain organisms that sleep entire winters. There are also certain organisms that sleep entire summer, and that is called estivation. Write down, estivation is summer sleep. The examples of hibernation are normal bears and crocodiles. What is the example of estivation? Do you see frogs in summers?
No.
Where are they? Mars.
No.
Sleeping.
They leave your cities and go to hill stations to enjoy. No. So they go under the ground and they sleep. That is called estivation. So frogs undergo estivation whole summer. And when do they come back? With the
Rainy
first,
seasons.
yes, the first monsoon rains, and all the frogs are out and starts doing trrr, trrr, trrr. Right? So there's
Yes.
some, so even when they're hibernating and when they're estivating, there is something which is giving them signals. If hibernation, estivation, unconsciousness was complete lack of consciousness, then they would have slept and never woke up. Because who's telling them to wake up? Are you going and telling a frog, oh, come out, it's starting to rain? No. Something is still giving their body signal. Same is for and that something is temperature or moisture, right? So for bears that sleep in the winters, when the temperature starts rising again, they feel it. Their brain knows that the temperature is beyond a level. Now I should wake up, and they wake up. Same is with crocodiles. Do you think it is interesting?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, right. And again, it is related to one feature of consciousness and alertness and activity of brain. So while reading NCERT, you will never think of this, and therefore you will always feel biology is boring. We have to just remember consciousness is this is that, this is that, but everything is connected. It's interesting science. Okay. So consciousness is both a life process and a defining property. Now, in today's class, we will go forward and we'll try to wrap up this chapter for this batch. And the next segment that we are going to start, a lot of objective questions comes from that segment, and that's called diversity. Study of diversity or diversity. Write down. Diversity of the living world. Now, what do we mean by the word diversity? Please participate. Omar, are you in hibernation? I have not heard your voice, man. You have such a good voice. Please speak.
No, sir.
No, you don't have a good voice?
No, I have normal voice.
What is
Neither
normal
good
voice?
nor bad.
Okay, so you are not participating.
You know what?
So is Nida and Rehab. You are, but less frequently. So what do you think is diversity of life?
Different types of organisms and
Right.
living beings.
What do you mean by different types of organisms? Types mean what? So there are many ways to, so whenever diversity comes, also with diversity comes another mechanism called classification. Because we cannot study something which is of different kinds under one umbrella, right?
Yes.
So to study them, there is one easy way. Let's classify them on some or the other basis. Let's classify them into categories. In one classified category, the organisms may still look different. There will be diversity, but there will also be certain common points that we are going to study. You understand? Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's first understand diversity. Diversity, the first kind of diversity you should know that was tried. The first person who tried, who's also called the father of science and also of zoology, is Aristotle. Have you heard his name?
Yes, sir.
Aristotle.
Yes.
What did Aristotle do? What did Aristotle say? Aristotle tried to classify all the living systems, all the organisms on the planet into three categories. One which live on land, he called it terrestrial. Okay. Another that live in water, they are called
Aquatic.
aquatic. And those who are airborne are called aerial. Okay. So he said that all the animals that roam on the land are terrestrial animals. All those who are in the water are aquatic animals. All who fly are aerial animals. Right. On the basis of phenotype, this sounds like a very good way to classify, right? At least someone has tried. Someone is trying. Let's give him for that. But it's not a very scientific method to study. Do you agree with me? It's not very scientific.
Yes.
Very subjective. Why is not scientific? Anyone would like to tell me? And that anyone would be random anyone, and that random anyone would be Rehab.
Because there are different types in each sections.
Please let Rehab speak. No, I'll come to you. I appreciate, but Rehab and Nida. See, if you're liking the class, the toll for the class is that you have to participate, please, and it's for your benefit. Yes, Nida. And Rehab is back.
Because there are different types of organisms. There are various types of organisms.
Yeah, there are various types of organisms,
Yeah.
but I am asking why it is not very scientific to classify them on the basis of their habitat.
Because it's too small. It's not
easy.
Yes, Rehab. What did you say? Your microphone is mute. And you can raise hands always. I can see Abhinav itching to give an answer. He has raised his hand twice. Do you know that it doesn't make any sense to raise the hand twice digitally? It will stay raised.
I know, sir.
Okay, good. Yes, Rehab was saying something. We will consider her point before moving forward. I think there's some issue with Rehab's microphone. Oh, she is there. Yes, Rehab. I think there's some issue. Okay, we'll come back to Nida. Nida, what were you saying? What was your point that it's why it's not scientific? Because you raised a point which was actually a good point, not the complete one, but I'll take it into consideration for discussion. You said something like,
there are different tribes and various types of animals or organisms which do not come.
yeah, so you mean to say that even on land, if we see land animals also, the only common thing is that live on land, but they are still very different.
Yes.
Right? This is what you say. Yeah, right. Good. Let's come to Abhinav. Abhinav, is your hand still raised? Yes. You can lower down your hand and tell me. What do you think? Why is it not a scientific way?
Sir, it is not a scientific way because if we see in itself in terrestrial animals, there may be organisms which may be unicellular, multicellular, or some may be more complex than the others.
Exactly. Right. And also, if we think that, let's say, let me give you one example. So it's not like that all the organisms who live on land have same kind of physiology also. Let's take an example of lungs. Lungs is an organ. So suppose we are classifying on the basis of habitat, then there are organisms who live on land and have lungs, right? And which are those organisms? Give one example. Who live on land and have lungs?
Humans.
Humans.
Exactly. We have lungs. Humans. There are still organisms who live in water and have lungs. So if you are living in water, lungs doesn't make any sense, right? Why are you having lungs in water? But still they have lungs in water because they are mammals and they have adapted themselves to live in waters. For example,
Dolphin, whale.
whales. So whales are
Shark.
not, and what?
Shark.
You mean SEAL, you mean?
No, I don't mean to
Then?
say sea. I mean to say shark. There is one shark, but I don't remember the name. Like there are different types of shark. I don't know. There is one
Oh,
shark.
you mean
But
shark. Okay, fine, fine.
yeah.
Yes, you're right. So there are many, but sharks are not actually mammals. They belong to fish. But point is that we are just sticking to one system so that we can understand it better. So let's say we are studying land organisms, and so we have to write that land organisms have lungs, right?
Yeah.
But then there will come whales and they will say, oh, we also have lungs. And they were like, okay, water organisms also have lungs. You know what, how whales cannot breathe inside the water. So they always come to the surface, and that the trumpet, like the shower thing that comes out of their fountain thing that comes out of their head. So their nose, their nostrils are actually located at the back of their head. Have you seen the skull or the anatomy of whales? So we have nose here. Whales have nose on the back side. So while they are swimming, they just come to the surface and breathe. So they can hold their breath, or they can in one breathe take so much of oxygen that will help them to remain underwater for hours. And then they again come back to surface and again blow the trumpet, and they exhale all the CO2, inhale and go back in. This is how whales survive. So they don't have gills, they have lungs. Now there are some aerian animals also who have lungs. Can you give me an example?
Most of the birds. All the birds.
Yeah, all the birds have lungs. Bats have lungs. So birds also have lungs. Which means on the basis of like the organization of the body, there is no difference between land, water and air. So scientifically we cannot use this forever. But we still use it for kids when we start teaching them about environment in 4th, 5th class. So from 4th, 5th grade onwards, we teach them that this is duck is an aquatic animal, giraffe is a terrestrial animal, right? So this is good to make some concepts, but as we go higher in science, we do not follow it any longer, right? So Aristotle was then discarded for higher studies, and then came certain other people who gave kingdoms of classification, right? This classification study came, which is your second chapter. So before studying that second chapter and coming to actual classifications, I will tell you what are the basics that we have to learn first. So one basic is one word which comes is biodiversity. Again, the word, look at the word. I have told you to make a terminology section, right, everyone? So diversity means variation, various kinds of different forms. And bio means life. So biodiversity means different numbers and types of living organisms present on Earth. Just write down. Biodiversity means different types and number of living organisms living on the planet. Okay. Now, we have so many living organisms on the planet. But one tedious task that scientist has to undergo is to name them, right? So there should be a system of naming everyone. We have 7 billion humans, but still everyone has a name, right?
Yes.
But what is the problem with naming of humans? Do you think that there is a problem? What is the problem? Our names are not scientific names. That is the problem. Therefore, all our names are same. Like all our names can be, multiple names can be similar, right? Like I am not
Yes,
the
sir.
only Rahul
Yes,
Kushwaha
sir.
on planet Earth. Nor is
Yes,
Abhinav
sir.
the only Abhinav Rana on planet Earth. And I'm using both the names. Even if you think, no, sir, they can be Abhinav Bindra and I am Abhinav Rana. But if you go and search Facebook only, you will find thousands of Abhinav Rana also. Some of them you will see and you will say, oh, he's also Abhinav Rana. Oh man, oh boy. Right? So the problem is that our identities are not unique. For our unique identity, then we have to go to our fingerprints. Right? So fingerprint is our unique identity, or the way we sign our name is a unique identity. So all Abhinav Ranas will be signing differently. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
But now we are humans and we are elite and we have decided all this study system. So humans we can work with. Even if their name is same, we have other ways to figure out how they are different. But we cannot afford to do the same for animals. We cannot bring an animal and ask him to sign or give the thumbprint so that we can study his biology. So for animals, for every species, the naming system has to be different. As a species, our naming system is also different. We are Homo sapiens, right? And there is no other species on planet Earth that is named Homo sapien. In fact, there is no other species belonging to the genus Homo currently surviving. You know, and there is a very beautiful question that why there is no other species in the genus Homo currently? Why we are the only genus and species?
Sir,
Homo
I
sapiens?
know.
I know you know because you were in one of my advanced biology classes, right?
No, sir. I have not yet joined any of them.
Are you sure?
I studied it before.
Okay, fine. So we'll come to that. Okay, just keep your curiosity and your tickling to answer thing. But it's fine. You know, everyone should tickle to answer. That's the spirit, and that is what these classes are achieving. So classification, write down nomenclature. What is nomenclature? Nomenclature is a system of naming living organisms scientifically and uniquely. Nomenclature, this is the spelling, CLATURE. Nomenclature is a system of scientific naming or scientifically naming all the living organisms in a unique way or uniquely. So there are two things here in this definition. Okay. Are you still writing, everyone? Okay. And also develop, you know, to write as fast as you can. With time you will develop. Abhi, I'm not complaining about it, don't worry. But I will complain when 6 chapters are over and if you are still writing slowly. So there are two things. One is the naming has to be scientific, and other, it should not get mixed with any other species. So every species, there are millions of species, and every species we have to ensure that gets a unique name. So that's why the nomenclature system itself, it is an identification system. In short, you can write down, it is the system for identifying or identification system for all the organisms. Now we have developed a term called binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature. Now again, look at the word. What does the word bi means? Binomial, bisexual, two, right? There has to be two things. So bi means two and nomial means name. Nomial or nomenclature means name always. So you can go back to your terminology section and put it there because it's something which will repeat in biology. And this is where biology gets boring if you don't understand it. So binomial means a system where two names are there. Just like for humans, we always prefer name and surname, right?
Yes,
Because the
sir.
problem will be if someone applies for a PhD program and his name is Rahul, and someone else applies for a PhD program whose name is again Rahul, then how will you differentiate between both the Rahuls?
By their surname.
By their surnames. You know, there are less chances that both the Rahul will be Rahul Kushwahas. And if that happens, then the administration will call both of them and will say, come and give your fingerprints for your identities. So that's possible for humans. But we cannot afford it to let happen for species, right? Because two different duck species, we cannot ask them, oh, you both have got the same name, come out of the water and give your pad prints. No, it does not work like that. So binomial means there are two names, and all the system that is followed currently, most of it is binomial, like Homo sapiens. This is a binomial system where The human species is named Homo sapiens. The word Homo here means man or human. Actually, it means man, but it should means human. So just write it human or man. Okay. If the example, see, science, to all the females and all the women, girls who are there in this class, no offenses to you, but let me admit, science was developed and explored more by men. So they got an egoistic patriarchal thinking while they were developing all of that. So they named mankind, right? But now with progressive thought, even in literature, we are replacing it with humankind, because mankind tells that only men are kind, which is not exactly true. Women are more kinder, and we see it all around the globe. You see all the wars, it's never started by a woman. A woman never says, okay, let's go to war, let's bring guns. They are worried about more sensitive issues. Let's preserve life, let's take care of the kids, let's take care of the homes, let's educate people, like Mother Teresa. There's no female Hitler in history. Never. One of the closest person who could have been was there were some female rulers who were like pretty strict and like that, but again, so we will try to neutralize the gender effect. So Homo means man, but we'll also remember for our discussions it means human, and sapiens means wise, right? The word sapien means wise. Now what do you think, what language is this? Homo sapiens?
Greek.
No. Yes, no? I'm so happy that there's one place where Abhinav is wrong. Yes, anyone else?
Latin.
Spanish.
It's mostly two languages.
Spanish. I don't know, but it sounds like Spanish.
Latin.
Latin. It's Latin. So all the scientific nomenclature is done in Latin language. There is a reason behind this. It's not like scientists just did a lottery system and Latin came in the chit, so they decided it Latin. So no, don't answer. Before going to the answer, let me ask the question first. So the point is, because you have to understand the science, Abhinav, okay? That's why I hope you appreciate the process that I'm taking you through, okay? So for everyone, now apart from Abhinav, someone else should answer this question, because Abhinav is going to answer the next question, even if I ask him not to. So my question is, if we have two things in mind, two objectives in mind. One is to name every species present on the planet, and second, to name them uniquely. Then what kind of language should we use? Why can't we use English? Just think about it. Why can't we use English? Anyone? Nida, Reba, Mariam. Whoever wants to speak first, please. Why can't we use English? Let me give you a hint. The problem is, Omar can also speak. Omar, why do you think we should not use English? Why do we?
Because it's too common.
Yes. Because it's too common. Yes, you are right. It's too common. But what is the disadvantage of being too common? You mean to say English language is very much used frequently throughout the globe. It's a live language. Yes, but what is the disadvantages in that? Why can't we say ourselves wise human? Why do we have to say Homo sapiens?
I think we can't keep names correctly.
No, English is not unable to do so. We can keep names correctly in English also, but there is some problem which is associated to the first point of yours, that it is used frequently or commonly. So what is the problem? Do you know 20 years ago, if you go to Oxford Dictionary, you will not find the word cab. You will only find the word taxi. You know that? And if you go 200 years back in history of English, you will not find the word you will find the word thou. Shakespeare never used to use you, I, and we. He used to use thou, thee, and something like that. Even in Bible, the English which is there, it's thou. Thou shall not steal. You shall not steal is not there. So now it's a hint. Now someone can tell me what is the problem with the language which is used frequently?
Because the language keeps changing.
Exactly. The language keeps changing with time and usage and with new things coming. Like now in English, we have YOLO. What is YOLO? You only live once. We have LOL. Now people are confused. Sometimes it's laugh out loud. Sometimes it's lots of love. You know, very problematic if you send wrong LOL to the wrong place. Suppose someone's funeral is there and you want to say lots of love, be strong, and you send LOL, be strong. You know, it's just going to create a disaster. You know, LOL, you cannot say LOL, be strong. So that's the problem with the language which is in use. It keeps on changing and modifying. Latin is not a language which is in use anywhere. It's not an official language of any country. It's not used by civilizations now. So it's kind of a dead language. So whatever has been written in Latins, whatever rules has been laid, it's there. It will never change. And the good thing about Latin is it has all the words for everything that you want to say. It's not an underdeveloped language. It's a good language, but no one uses it like right now. And we have word for everything. Like if I want to say something is flower like, so there is a word for flower like, flower. Or there's a word for wise. There is a word for human. Okay. So that's why you use a dead language so that it remains constant and the names never change. Clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, Abhinav,
Yes,
I
sir.
stole your chance to answer, but I know you know the answer. Okay, just be happy. Allow me to also answer some things. Okay, I also should learn. Similarly, this is called binomial nomenclature. There is another thing which is emerging now, which is called trinomial nomenclature. Write it down. It's not in your NCERT, but it comes in your board sometimes and in entrances. What is trinomial nomenclature? As the word says, tri means
Three,
Three.
three,
three.
three names.
Three names. So in this binomial name, the first word homo denotes the genus. Okay. And the second name sapiens denotes the species. Just like name and surname, this is genus and species. In the prehistoric times, there were other species of the Homo genus also present on Earth. And you are going to study about it in your evolution chapter. So there was something called Homo habilis. Have you heard the term ever?
No.
Homo
No.
habilis, Homo sapiens, Homo habilis, Homo erectus. All these were species who belong
Of
to the
the
same
same.
genus.
There were 13 species.
Yes. Now
In
don't
which
name,
one survived?
don't name all the 13. Okay, please. Name it when I ask you in that evolution chapter. Okay, it will be good. So Homo erectus. So which is to tell you that even being in the same genus, they were different species. They were not us. And also remember, it's not like we directly evolved from them. Like we evolved from one of them. Evolution doesn't work like that. We didn't evolve from monkeys. We didn't evolve from chimpanzees. That's why chimpanzees are still on planet. It's not like after 10 million years, all the chimpanzees will become humans. No, they will stay chimpanzees. They can get better, intelligent. They may even speak like they do in Planets of Apes movies, but they will never become humans. We are different species. They are different species. Okay. Now in trinomial nomenclature, what happens is there are three names used. Okay. One example of this is, you know, China rose, the flower China rose.
Yes, sir.
Everyone is familiar with the flower China rose.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So China rose is called hibiscus. Have you heard this term, hibiscus?
Yes, sir.
It used to come in
Yes,
the
sir.
biopractical in class 10th. Mark the different organs of hibiscus. Its full name was Hibiscus rosa, China rose. Hibiscus is the genus, okay, and rosa is the species. Apart from Hibiscus rosa, nowadays in advanced literature and in advanced science, we call Hibiscus rosa as Hibiscus rosa sinensis. So there is this third name that has come up, Hibiscus rosa sinensis. This sinensis is subspecies. Remember that. It's subspecies. Even within a species, there are differences now. which we are figuring out in evolution. So trinomial nomenclature has a genus, a species, and a subspecies, but it is not a very favorite mode of biologists because we have not figured out till now all the subspecies in all the species. Okay, so it's not required, but it is the beginning. And sometimes if you start reading advanced books, you will see that the name of humans is written as Homo sapiens sapiens. And we believe that the Homo sapiens that were present on the earth 20,000 years ago, who started farming and agriculture and who invented fire and started cooking food, they were slightly different from us in certain features. And that feature was not the hair or the head,
Brain.
The brain.
not even the brain. The function of brain. What is it called? What
Function of brain.
is the
Intelligence.
intelligence? So they were not that intelligent. We are very intelligent. So we should name ourselves Homo sapiens sapiens. But I have a problem with this system. It sounds very egoistic to me, right? Because after 10,000 years, humans will say, okay, let's name ourselves Homo sapiens sapiens sapiens. And then 20,000 years later, there will be Homo sapiens 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 sapiens. And then will be Homo sapien raised to power 6. There's no end to intelligence, right? So there is a lot of debate going on in this particular field of Homo sapiens because it just sounds like someone wants to say that, you know, we are intelligent than our ancestors. But it also in use for some other species. So just remember that trinomial nomenclature is a thing. It exists, but it is not widely used. Clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now, there are certain things, there are certain rules to writing scientific names, you know. So scientific names, so just write it down as your homework. You will just find it in any book, and I just want you to write this as your homework. What are the universal rules of scientific nomenclature? Find those rules, note it down, and you have to answer this in my next class. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And I will not.
Sir, can you repeat?
Yes. What should I repeat the question, Omar?
Yes, sir.
What are the universal rules of scientific nomenclature or biological nomenclature? There are certain universal rules. This comes in your boards, not important from your entrance point of view. I've never seen any question coming in NEET, but it comes in your boards. So write it down and you find out the answer. And in the next class, you will be notified about the class and the batch. And you will also, have you people got an assignment? I've prepared a small assignment for you. For probably you will get it. So probably you will get it after this class. Okay. So it's a small assignment that will help you. It's a very basic. So whatever I've taught today, some of those things are not even included. But I will appreciate if you do two things. First, find about the universal rule of nomenclature and then write down, read what is taxonomy. Just that. What is taxonomy? Taxonomy. Taxonomy. What is taxonomy? Just read the basics. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
So I will be just going back up and revising whatever we have discussed after the metabolism and cellular organization. We majorly spend time on breathing and respiration. Remember it. So you all are making notes, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please do that. And please maintain a separate copy for it. Don't make notes in the same copy where there's biology also, and don't mix it because you are going to note quite a lot, you know, in all your chapters. And then we started with diversity. I will not finish the diversity, but I will finish this chapter, merging it with chapter 2. So in the next class, when you will come, we will start chapter 2 by ending chapter 1 because chapter 1 and chapter 2 are linked by taxonomy. So we will read about taxonomy. We will find about rules of biological nomenclature, universal rules. And then in the next class, we will enter into deep study of diversity. Is it fine for everyone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Any doubts anyone has? No one has
Sir,
any doubts?
where do
Yes.
we get the assignments?
Yes, so you will get the assignments probably after this class, like if not tonight, then tomorrow, you know, and you have time to just, it just have, I think 10 to 15, less than 15 questions to it. And I hope they are multiple choice questions. So just keep, and also every assignment that you get, you know, make a digital folder in your laptop or mobile or whatever you are joining through. And if that's not possible, take a printout if it's possible and keep all your assignments, because at the end of the term, all these assignments with you and your performance in it will help you to know what you need to prepare for entrances and boards. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And in the next class, if you have any doubts regarding that assignment, we'll also discuss that. So any doubts? And when I say doubts at the end of the class, 5 minutes are for us to spend. You know, those doubts can be like related to the things that I have taught you. It can also be something in general in biology. So anyone has any doubts before we wind up for tonight?
No.
No. Okay. So I'll see all of you in the next class. And this is your batch. This will stay stable. So I hope you're not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you are 8 people, right? So there's no space for any other person in this batch. So it will stay like this. So you are your batchmates. Just everyone unmute yourself and say hello to each other.
Hi.
Okay.
Okay. Okay is a good thing. You know, someone can say cheese also or paneer if you understand Hindi. Okay, so take care everyone. Good night for tonight and see you in the next class where we will venture into diversity. And as the syllabus will increase, you know, the interesting things will start coming up. Apart from chalkboard, I will also switch to presentations and videos mode. Okay, some very interesting videos, and I'll ask you questions on the basis of those videos as well. Okay, so be ready for it. So make sure you have audio and video access always. Okay. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you,
I
sir.
declare disperse for tonight. Take care. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye.